The Susan Brender Show is a radio show online broadcasted on YouTube across the United States and globally. The show features guests who speak about health, spirituality, entertainment, and a host of subjects to enlighten people across the nation. Listen to the show that empowers women and men alike and highlights those who have made a difference. I'm Susan Brender, and this is the Susan Brender Show. Today, I'm delighted to have a new guest whom I haven't met before, and I'm so happy that he's decided that he wants to do the show with me. And his name is David Medansky, a retired divorce lawyer, is an international best-selling author, and America's newest authority for successful weight loss. Now, he's going to tell his story because in 2016, his doctor basically told him that if he didn't lose weight, there was a chance that he was going to die of a heart attack. Now, that is a very serious situation, and certainly I think he needs to tell us how he was able to bypass that and really be as wonderful as he is today. So with that said, I want to welcome to the show again David Medansky. And David, I have something that I want to say to you. We're dealing with the pandemic right now, and a lot of people are stuck in their houses, and there's a lot of stress going on as a result. So I have a suspicion that they're overindulging themselves with different carbs and different things just to keep themselves busy. What's your thoughts about that?
Yes, Susan, thank you for having me as a guest. And we're calling people staying at home the Quarantine 15 because what is happening is people are purchasing a lot of junk food, they're bored, they're snacking, and they're gaining an extra 15 pounds. And so there are some ways you can avoid gaining that extra weight while being, stuck at home, basically.
Yeah. And so you've now written a book, and it's called If Not Now, When? Reduce Weight. Create a healthy lifestyle. And I assume that you did this because you felt that you wanted to share your experience with people. So why don't you tell the story of what really started your whole journey, if you will, to losing weight?
Sure. In July of 2016, I went to see my doctor, and he told me based on my lab results and being overweight, I had a 95% chance for a heart attack. So he gave me two options. One, I could lose weight, or two, I could find a new doctor because he did not want me dying on his shift. And as a friend told me, I saw the light but did not want to move toward the light. And so with that sword hanging over my head, I decided to, do something and act rather than procrastinate. During the next 4 months, I lost over 50 pounds and have been able to keep most of it off in the last, few years. It's like most of us, when we're younger, we're active, we're thin, we're trim, and life gets in the way, and before you know it, a few pounds creep up here and there, and after a few years, it's 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 15 pounds, and before you know it, you're at a situation like I was where you're 50 pounds overweight.
Wow. So what was the hardest part about that?
Well, the hardest part is getting started. We all have excuses of, to delay it. I call it the top 10. I'll start after our vacation. I'll start after holidays. Now's not the right time for me. I'm too busy. I'll start on Monday. It's too expensive to eat healthy, or it costs too much. I'll start after our company picnic or company party during the holidays. I don't have time to follow a regimen. Many people lose weight and gain it all back, so why bother? And my favorite one, I'm always hungry and cranky on the diet. My book, If Not Now, When? Is not about dieting. It's about lifestyle and behaviors. And so I teach people how to modify and improve their eating habits. We all know what to do, or most of us know what we should do. We just don't do it. And that's where I call diets temporary, trendy, and hard to stick with, whereas a lifestyle you enjoy and you stay with it. And the analogy I use is a diet is a sprint. There's a finish line. When you reach your goal, most people revert back to their old eating habits and gain the weight back. Whereas if you have a healthy eating lifestyle, then it's like a marathon without a finish line. You just keep going.
Yeah. You know what, David? I belong to a gym that has trainers, and I see a lot of people coming in. And what I see is that what they're trying to do is not necessarily lose weight, but what they're trying to do is to build themselves up. You know, all these guys that come in, that, you know, this macho kind of thing. And that, and they drink a lot of these juices, and the gyms try to sell them all kinds of products that proteins and that sort of thing. Do you condone that, or do you think that's a waste of time?
Well, I really don't have much of an opinion on people who are bodybuilders and what they do to increase their muscle mass. I'm more into helping people reduce weight and keep it off. For example, there's different types of proteins. So you can go to a health food store, and on the shelf you'll see protein powders that are for gaining weight. And then you can go to, another section and see protein powders for losing weight. So which is it? Are you using protein to gain weight or to lose weight? The other myth out there is people believe if they exercise more or go to the gym and work out longer or more often, they'll lose weight. That's a fallacy. Experts have found that 90 to 95% of weight loss is based on your dietary intake. What I try to explain to my clients is first lose the weight or start losing it, and then start an exercise regimen. And it can be very simple, just as simple as just walking at a brisk pace for 15, 20, 30 minutes and building up to it, starting with maybe, a couple of push-ups and building up a little bit. Things you can do inside your house where you really don't need to go to a gym and pay a trainer, unless you really want to, be a bodybuilder or develop, a physique like that. But for the average person, people look at me and they say, how often do you exercise? And I say, maybe 5 minutes. How do you get a body like that? Well, I built up doing push-ups, and sit-ups and squats and, light weights. So simple things.
Yeah, I hear you. Now, is there one specific diet that you would recommend? And if so, what is it?
Well, I don't recommend diets because, again, that's a temporary or trendy thing. What I recommend if people are going to do a diet is the Mediterranean diet. I try to teach people to adjust their eating habits. There's 10 different eating behaviors that we can all improve and modify. For example, 75% of the U.S. population is chronically dehydrated. So that means we should be drinking more pure water. Yet, Americans will spend more money on soda and diet soda or fruit beverages than on water. Our bodies are 60 to 70% water. Well, why wouldn't you want to put more water into your body? I look at our bodies as a machine, and we need to give it the right fuel. If you're a race, people that own horse races or horses that race, the thoroughbreds, they give them all the right nutrition, all the right, veterinarian care, all the right exercise, the training, and they take better care of the animal than themselves. Most people take better care of their automobile than they do their own bodies. When you have an automobile, you take it in for the oil changes and the regular maintenance. So my question to most people is, why aren't you doing that for yourself?
Okay. And what did they answer you?
I don't have time, or, I feel great, or, I tell the story of how I was in Las Vegas and I met a professional, an owner of a horse race, he for, thoroughbred. He was telling me, like I just told you, all the great things he does for the animal, and he orders a hamburger, fries, and a Diet Coke. And I said, when was the last time you were at the doctor? He goes, well, I never go. I'm as healthy as a horse. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, really? But that's how most people think. He
probably looks like a horse, and he doesn't care, right?
Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. So if we put off till tomorrow what we can do today, we never get to do what we want to do.
I know.
And that's why most people, fail to start, losing weight. They make the New Year's resolution. And 80% fail within the first 30 days. And the reason most people fail to lose weight is because, number one, it's hard to get started. And number two, there's no magic formula. It's not a quick fix. It's hard to sustain. There's no finish line. And there's no one usually to be accountable to, so you can make excuses and justify. And for a lot of people, even if we know what to do, we might not know how to do it.
Right. I'll let you answer that in a second. I just have something to tell you. And that is, many years ago, I interviewed a nutritionist. And she dealt mostly with kids who were really overweight. And the biggest recommendation that she had is stay away from television. And the reason she said that is because you cannot compete with a company like McDonald's. Their advertising, the monies they spend on advertising is huge. And that's the same thing for adults. If you go on TV, what do you see? You see advertisements for chips, for all kinds of garbage, you name it. And they have a big influence on people. So what do you say to that?
Well, I say it's more than just marketing and advertising. What people may not realize is our food is being scientifically engineered to optimize the craving for fat, salt, sugar, texture. A person named Howard Moskowitz termed it the bliss point. And that's what they do. He worked for the food manufacturers for over 30 years. Campbell's Soup is one of them, PepsiCo, Kraft, General Mills. And what they do is they find what is the optimization that they can scientifically engineer the food. So what people are eating now is not even real food, it's just food products. It's all chemically induced and has a lot of bad things in it. Mm-hmm. And what happens is you never get satisfaction from, your brain doesn't get the signal that you're full. So when they say, bet you can't eat just one, it's not a dare, it's a fact. If people would read the nutritional fact panels and labels on products, they would be shocked at what they're actually eating. Most people look at what's bolded, the number of sodium, the grams of protein, the sugars. They don't look down at the fine print, see what the ingredients are and what's being put into it. And so it becomes addicting. And the food manufacturers are making us food junkies. We just crave more and more. And like you said, if you're watching TV, then you start having what we call mindless eating. Or if you're working at your desk, you're focusing on what you're doing rather than what you're putting into your body. And before you know it, that sandwich is gone, or the bag of chips is gone, or the bag of pretzels, whatever the Doritos, you finished it and you didn't even realize you ate it. You may not even realize that you enjoyed it. So that's one of the things I teach people is if you're going to eat food, focus on what you're eating.
Right.
So that's important for people to understand that. The other thing is what's going on with the COVID-19, I kind of joke a little bit is, I see the store shelves are mostly empty of all the, canned goods and packaged goods, but all the fruits and vegetables and nuts and berries are there. And I'm thinking, hey, this is great because that's what I eat. And that's important, to keep healthy, to build up your immune system, to eat, a healthy lifestyle. It doesn't have to be organic and it doesn't have to be expensive. When you think about what people spend through the drive-thru on a meal, say like McDonald's, they're spending $6 to $10 on one meal. Well, you can cook at home for a lot less. I used to tell people, the number one reason that people overeat is because of stress. I've since changed my thinking on that, and the reason that people overeat now is because of convenience. It's easier to put a frozen meal in the microwave. It's easier to go through the drive-thru. People do not want to take time to shop. They do not want to take time to prepare a meal at home. And yet, sometimes it's faster to cook at home than wait in line, at the drive-thru or even, inside the fast food places.
Yeah. David, it's very interesting about being overweight in America. It is an epidemic, and the question becomes, why do people not pay attention to people like yourself? What is the reasons that they're just going their own way, doing what they want to do and not thinking about the consequences of a diet and creating a healthy lifestyle. So you must have something to say about that.
I call it the new normal. We look around. If you look back in the 70s and 80s, most people were thin and not overweight. Today, 70% of the U.S. adult population is overweight, of which 40% is clinically obese. So what that means for your audience is if you're at a social gathering with 10 people or more, 7 of you are overweight and 4 of you are clinically obese. So you see people who are heavier than you and you think, oh, I look good compared to other people because that's the new normal. When I was talking to a friend writing the book, he was telling me how he was going to his 50th class reunion, and they started going through his yearbook, and his kids said, hey, Dad, there's no fat kids in your class. And looking back at my yearbooks, I realized there was maybe 1 or 2 kids that were overweight, but nobody like you see today with, the kids today. About 25% of that population is overweight. And what's happening, I call it dietary duplication, is parents are teaching their kids poor eating habits. They're teaching them it's okay to order a pizza in. It's okay to pick up a bucket of KFC on the way home. It's okay to go through the McDonald's drive-thru or Wendy's or Burger King. Another thing people may not be aware of is color. Blue is a color suppressant, yet red and yellow is a appetite stimulant. So that's probably why McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Denny's, Carl's Jr., and others all use red and yellow in their color schemes.
That's an interesting point of view.
I'd like to tell your audiences we've been supersized without realizing it. In the 1900s, the average size dinner plate diameter was 9 inches. Today, it's 12 inches. In a restaurant, the serving size is 13 to 15 inches, yet in Europe, the dinner size plate is still 9 inches. So if you think about that, you're eating 25% more food without realizing it.
Yeah. So it's all about money, isn't it? Years ago, before, at least when I was a young woman, there weren't places like McDonald's. It didn't exist. And, we cooked. I mean, my mother cooked, certainly, and people didn't eat out that much. And today, the difference is that everybody is working so many hours, and they're so stressed out, and they have no time to cook. And there are people who say, well, what can I do? I have all this, work that I have to finish. So I'm sure that you have that all the time. You hear that from people all the time. And I want you to tell people what you would say, even though they don't have a lot of time on their hands. What would you say to them? There must be something that they can do to make themselves better.
Oh, there's lots of things, especially now with people being restricted to being in their homes. They don't have the commute time, so they have more time to prepare meals and cook meals and eat together and not eat in front of the television. The other thing they can do is prepare meals ahead of time, like on a Sunday evening. You can, bake or grill a couple chicken breasts. There's a lot of different things that you can do to prepare meals ahead of time. So when you get home and you open the refrigerator, there's something there that's healthy and nutritious, as opposed to something that, you're going to just pop in the microwave or open a box and grab a couple chips or something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, another thing I was going to say is, for breakfast, people say, I'm in a hurry, I don't have time to make breakfast. Well, you can boil a couple hard-boiled eggs that are in the refrigerator for a couple of days, and, they're all ready to go. Just grab them and take off.
Yeah. So there's tons of information and programs about weight loss. What makes you so different? What makes you unique? Because there must be something that you're doing that is different from, what other people used to do.
What I'm teaching people is to modify their eating behavior based on their likes and dislikes. So if you don't like something, don't eat it. If you like something that's healthy for you, keep doing it. If you're eating something that's not healthy for you, let's see what we can do to first reduce it and then eliminate it, and eventually you get to a point where just avoiding it. For example, sodas and diet sodas. I talk to a lot of people, and the first thing I ask them are you willing to give up your soda or diet soda? And their answer is no. If you're not willing to make that adjustment, then there's nothing anyone can do for you. The other thing is when people drink diet soda, they say it's 0 calories. They don't realize that it has aspartame in it, and aspartame has 92 known side effects. One of them is weight gain. And I'm always getting the argument, I don't understand. It has 0 calories. How does that cause weight gain? Well, the reason is aspartame inhibits and prevents your body from absorbing vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. It also increases your craving for sweetness. So you're starving your body and putting in what they call starvation mode. When your body's in starvation mode, it wants to retain weight and fights like heck to, keep it on. The other thing is, people may not realize that as you start getting older, they've found that people over age 55 have an 80% probability of either being a type 2 diabetic or pre-diabetic. And to me, that's staggering. 80% would be in that category. Again, it's from the foods we're eating and being provided. In the 1990s, the average grocery store had about 15,000 different products. Today, it's over 50,000 products. Now, I don't know about you, Susan, but for me, haven't heard that many new vegetables, fruits, berries, or nuts being discovered in that time period.
Right. My opinion is that if we just close our eyes to some of the things that are pushed on us, and if we just say to ourselves, we want to be healthy, this is the most important thing. Now, let me ask you a little bit more about your book. If not now, when? Reduce weight, create a healthy lifestyle. What's inside of that? Could you give us a little tease and then tell us how people get it?
Sure. One of the things in there is Vince Lombardi is famous for the Super Bowl and Green Bay Packers and being the NFL head coach, and a lot of businesses quote Lombardi for his, philosophies. I've taken Vince Lombardi's philosophies and applied it to weight loss. The other thing in the book is we deal with the mental, emotional, and psychological aspects of eating and choosing to eat healthy. So I provide a lot of affirmations and declarations in one chapter, and I explain about how words have impact. So instead of saying, I don't want to eat something, you rephrase and say, I choose not to eat, or drink the diet soda. I choose to eat the apple instead of, the burger. I choose. There's different, ways to have a positive twist on what you're saying, because your words do have impact and your thoughts have impact. And so we go into that in the book. I also give suggestions on what people can do to modify and improve their eating behaviors. For example, use a salad plate instead of a dinner-sized plate to reduce your portion sizes. And don't heap the food on and don't go back for seconds. Learn to eat slower. Most of us eat very fast because we're in a hurry to do something, or we're eating at our desk. Little tips like that.
David, I'm also thinking about the diets that are out there that most of the people I know are on, and that is like a Weight Watchers diet. Now, what sets them apart from what you're talking about?
Weight Watchers has a point system, or they used to. Now they tell you what foods you can eat and what you shouldn't eat. They also have their own food line, which is frozen, which is probably a lot of chemicals. Nutrisystem has their own food line. Again, it's processed food, a lot of chemicals. People can, get reduced weight with eating just regular healthy foods that they enjoy. It doesn't take much to make a quick salad and throw in, some grilled chicken or, some, boiled shrimp or something you can prepare ahead of time. The thing with salads is people think if they eat a lot of salads, they're going to lose weight. The problem is they put the salad dressing on, and salads sometimes have more calories than a McDonald's meal. without realizing it. The nutritional value for the average person should be 2,000 calories per day, and people don't realize they're consuming about 3,600 calories per day or more. Again, so they don't look at serving size versus portions. I explain the difference in the book. If you look at a serving size, like a can of tuna, a 4-ounce can of tuna, it'll say 2 servings. Well, if I eat the whole can, 4 ounces is not a whole lot. I have to double the number of calories, and I have to double the amount of sodium. People don't look at it. If you look at how many servings are in a bag of chips, it may say 10 to 12, yet people eat the entire bag at one sitting. That's a lot of food they're consuming. So I educate people to see what they're actually eating, and then again, make choices on what they enjoy and what they want to eat. Not everybody likes eggs. Not everybody likes dairy. Not everybody wants to eat beef. Not everybody likes, seafood or shellfish. So it's flexible. You're not restricted, and you're not spending a lot of money on prepaid, prepackaged meals that you are restricted on. We teach portion control, how to do little tricks to reduce the quantity of food that you're eating, yet feel satisfied. We explain why it's important to drink a lot of water, some little tips on what you can do to increase your water intake. So you become new habits, and then those are, things that stick with you, which, again, are little simple things. I've had one client that she lost over 25 pounds. She went through McDonald's drive-thru and bought a Coke, and she tasted it, and she didn't like it, so she thought there was something wrong with the Coke. So then she went to the Circle K and bought a can of Coke, and she drank that, and she said, she didn't drink it because she took a couple sips, and it tasted funny to her. So your taste buds start changing. What they're finding is that kids are so inundated with the processed foods that when they taste fresh fruits and vegetables, they taste bitter and sour to them instead of being sweet.
Yeah. So how do you change that? How do you change the whole way of eating for kids particularly? Because they're our next generation, and we want them to be in good health. So with that in mind, my question to you, and we're going to wrap this up, but what I'd like you to do is give us an idea of a perfect meal that you would recommend for our kids, and give the parents the understanding of why this is important as well.
Well, a perfect meal for kids would be, a piece of baked chicken or grilled chicken with, some cucumber slices or some mixed greens or celery or carrots or, broccoli or green beans. There's different things that they can mix with it. Avoid a lot of the simple carbohydrates, avoid the baked potatoes or the French fries, avoid the tater tots. If you look at what's in there, it's not healthy and it's very fattening. I call this what they refer to as dietary duplication. It's what your parents are teaching the kids to eat, so they don't know any better. That's what they're used to, and they think, oh, this is a healthy meal. I met one parent when I was growing up that thought ketchup was a vegetable substitute for fresh tomatoes. And yet ketchup has 60% sugar in it. So, again, people don't really know sometimes what they're really, consuming.
Yeah.
And you asked me where the book is available. The book is available on Amazon and also at Barnes & Nobles.
Right. Now,
and any local bookstore can order. Yeah.
Yeah, and if they want to get in touch with you, David, how do they do that?
They can go to my website, which is createyourthinnerself.com.
Okay.
Or they can send me an email. I'm happy to give out my email. It's, my first and last name, David Medansky, Medansky, like 3 words, me, Dan, and Sky, @gmail.com.
Sounds great. Well, my guest today has been David Medansky. I just really want to tell you about his book because he has a lot of information and a lot of education available to you in the book. And the book is If Not Now, When? Reduce Weight, Create a Healthy Lifestyle. What a wonderful, wonderful interviewee that you are, David, because you gave people the understanding of something that is so important in their lives, and that is eating healthy. So with that in mind, again, I want to say thank you for being on the Susan Brender Show. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Susan.